It is game week. Welcome to the Husker Doc Talk podcast. Good to have you here. If you're joining us for the very first time, watching on YouTube, hit subscribe to this channel. We'd like to see our subscriber base grow. If you would do us a favor, like this video, leave your comments in the comment section. A lot of comments last week, Dr. Rob, because I accidentally misspoke and I said crimson instead of scarlet, and everybody let me know.
I know when you said that like crimson, I was like, what? You're freaking Alabama? Or what the hell?
It's red, right? It's red.
Well, and I even I said it's red.
Yes.
Yeah, it's scarlet and cream. Like crimson is Oklahoma crimson?
It's red.
I think Oklahoma's crimson. It's almost a maroon.
Yeah, I'm sorry I don't know my color theory. My daughter's getting ready to go to college. She's got a color theory class that she's going to take. She'll correct me on my colors. So I apologize to everybody for my misspeaking. And Owen, we were driving in and he goes,
Travis hates Nebraska.
No, I do not. Owen goes, yeah, as soon as you said it, I knew you messed up. I said, why didn't you scream it out? Why didn't you go, hey, it's scarlet?
I thought I did. I thought I corrected. I thought I said it's red.
You just said red. Said red.
It's big red. Go big red.
That's all it is red. And you know, of course, the more you and I talk, there was another comment that cracked me up. Somebody goes, these two claim to be experts, and they misspoke here. I'm like, do we claim to be experts? I don't know if we claim. You're an expert because you played the game.
But you've worked as a sports broadcaster for
a long time,
some capacity.
Yes,
damn near your entire working career.
Yes.
Okay, so there's you've seen a thing or two.
I've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's interesting because I get asked a lot, hey, how are we going to be this year? Rob, what do you think? How are we going to be? And I'm like, I could tell you exactly what was going on down in Lincoln, roughly from 1988 to 98, 99, because I knew everybody there then. And I played there, and my brother played there, and the guys we played with were still there in that time frame. So, if I'm truly an expert, it's that. Now, I probably have a better feel for some of this stuff than your average fan does. But the fact is the last time I put on shoulder pads and a helmet was 1999.
Well, let's be honest about this whole thing. Nobody knows, including the coaching staff or the players, how this season is going to turn out. It's just prognostication at this point. Until Thursday night, we're going to get our first measurable. We're going to get our first idea of what this team is capable and what it looks like. Up until they play a game, you can make all the guesses you want. You can have all the expectations you want, but you just don't know until you get something to measure against.
Totally agree. And the other thing is that, from my perspective as a former player, the other thing that really sticks out to me in terms of a knowledge deficit is the fact that there's so much change that happens now within the sport, within all sports, with the advent of NIL and the transfer portal. You got guys coming, you got guys going. You look at Cincinnati, they have, in Nebraska even, you look at our receiving core. You got, I got it right in front of me. Isaiah Hunter, he was a Louisville guy, I think, and then Dane Key from Kentucky. So, two of our probable starting wide receivers are transfer portal guys. So 2 out of the 3. Then you got Ja'Cory Barney and Janarian Bonner. Love his blocking, by the way. When you're looking at even Nebraska's receiving core, I think we got an upgrade in our receiving core from last year.
But you still got to prove it.
But it's a question mark. When you look at the receiving core for Cincinnati, you got a couple of new guys on there. Their running back, Walker, he was a Wisconsin guy last year. You've got like 3 of their key skill position guys on offense are all new guys coming in. It's hard to judge how that's going to mesh. How well is a guy like Dane Key? Is he going to click right away with Raiola? Is Hunter going to click right away with Raiola? those are things that are hard to tell until you get a couple of games in.
The cool thing about this year is that they've got now a full spring and a full fall season with offensive coordinator Holgorsen. But I don't know how many of you watched the opening of college football yesterday with Iowa State and Kansas State, with Kansas and Fresno State.
First halves of both those games were really sloppy.
Yeah, it's sloppy. Penalties, turnovers. It took a while for the offense to click in. Do you expect that same thing? I mean, it's hard to get an offense just clicking right away.
I don't know. That's the problem. I would like to think things would be a little bit better. And I say that mainly on the offensive line, which let's just dive into the offensive line here. We kind of touched on it last year, which the big surprise to me is that I thought the surefire starters were going to be Gunnar Gatula at one tackle and Elijah Pritchett at the other tackle. And then the depth chart comes out, and it's Teddy Prohaska and Tyler Canuck, which I think Tyler's going to be a great football player. I mentioned it last week. I think a lot of stuff coming out of Lincoln that the kid's going to be a really good ball player. But, I mean, so it comes out left tackle. It's Gunnar Gatula or Turner Corcoran, which I even started questioning myself. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure Corcoran's still around.
Oh, the commenters on YouTube let you know about that. They're like, well, who does this guy think he is?
Well, I said it, and then I went back and I was like, well, wait a second. I think he's still there. I kind of questioned myself a little bit because I'm thinking, God, it's got to be like his 7th year, which I think it is. I think he had
been around a while.
He had an injury year. He used the COVID year, so I think there's a couple of extra years there. But he's been around forever. So they actually got him as second at left tackle behind Gatula, which I truly think Gatula's the better of those two guys. And then you got Elijah Pritchett, which it was interesting because you got a guy who was primarily a full-time starter last year at Alabama. And I get it. Saban's gone. It's Kalen DeBoer. It's not like Saban retired and Alabama's entire offensive line hit the transfer portal and left. So this guy was still a guy that got brought in and got brought up by Saban. And so he hits the door in Lincoln, and everybody, myself included, is sitting here going like, holy shit, we got a starter from Alabama. Now, there's a difference, and I've talked about this before. I mean, we've had a number of guys who've come in, and it's like, oh, this is a former 5-star recruit from Georgia. This is a former 5-star recruit from Alabama. This is a former 5-star guy from Ohio State. I'm like, okay, former 5-star guy tells me he didn't pan out. And there's a lot of these guys that haven't. Now, when I see this guy, I'm like, wait a second. This is essentially a full-time starter at offensive tackle from Alabama. He's got 12 starts under his belt. That's a little different than your quote-unquote 5-star transfer. The thing that was interesting is when you listen to Matt Rhule's comments on him, he says two things about the guy, which – one, I feel bad about. The other, I've got a lot of hope for. The thing I feel bad about is just tons of mental mistakes. Not knowing plays, false starts, things like that. And that's a little concerning, but and I think Rhule's I think he's learned that he's got to put his foot down when it comes to stuff like that. Like, you can't have the penalties, the turnovers, et cetera.
Because that'll screw you. Those are mental mistakes that will screw you.
Absolutely going to fuck you.
Well, look at Kansas State yesterday. From holding penalties to jumping off sides, they had many more yards than Iowa State did, but their drives were just stalled out because of stupid mental mistakes and penalties.
Yeah, and Iowa State had the potential because of but things for themselves. Iowa State could have won by more than they did. They had a turnover down on the goal line that K-State got and prevented a score for Iowa State. So it hit both of those teams pretty hard. And these early season games, that's what makes it so hard to predict. I mean, and that's the thing that surprised. I look at Nebraska's O-line, and I worry about Corcoran because you got a guy there that hasn't been consistent. at really hardly any point in time in his career. I think Gatula has been. I think Lutovsky has been. Justin Evans is good. You got Sam Sledge backing him up at center. I think Sam's going to be really good. You got Rocco Spindler, pretty proven commodity from Notre Dame.
Started at Notre Dame on a team that went all the way to the national championship game.
Yeah, so
I met him actually at the Tyler Childers conference.
What you told me.
Yeah, he was at the Tyler Childers concert. Him and Raiola were hanging out in the suite. They were living the suite life. But super nice guys. Because I was texting, I go, hey, do you know this guy? And you're like, his dad was a beast.
Yeah, I told him I played against his dad. So his dad, Marco Spindler, All-American D tackle for Pittsburgh, and then played for a number of teams in the NFL. I think Detroit primarily, but he had a stint with the Jets, and it was when he was with the Jets that I played against him.
Well, you mentioned the offensive line. You have your worries, but would you say this is the deepest the offensive line has been in a while, and you have 7 starters or 7 offensive linemen that have started 9 or more career games. So you have some experience there.
You do. And I mean, again, with a guy like Corcoran, as much, it used to basically, the podcast basically would be, we'd come in after the game and just rip Corcoran and Ben Hart a new one every week. The guy does have experience. I think he's a better guard than he is a tackle by far. So I'm still looking at that left tackle spot, and I'm still thinking at some point, it's tough to say. I was going to say at some point, I think you see Gatula and Pritchett as the 2 starters. You go over to that other tackle, and it's Teddy Prohaska. We've talked about this in depth. He's back for, I think this would be his 5th year. Multiple surgeries. You got a guy who, when he was starting as a true freshman prior to any injuries, I thought was absolute NFL guy. He was doing stuff somebody his height shouldn't be able to do. He's back. He's battled through so much. I hope I see that Teddy again. They got him slotted to be the starting right tackle. So we'll see what happens. It is always interesting to me when you see the Gunnar Gatula or Turner Corcoran or Elijah Pritchett, Teddy Prohaska or Tyler Canuck. I mean, at left guard, it's Lutovsky and then Jason. I'm going to butcher the last name. Masijak.
See, you say it like you know it, and that's all that matters. If you say it like you know it, that's all that matters.
Jason. Yeah, he's backing up Lutovsky at left guard. You got Evans. You got Sledge at center. There's no Orrs there. You got Rocco Spindler. There is no Orr after Rocco Spindler before Grant Bricks. And Bricks is only a redshirt freshman. He's a beast. I think he's going to be really good. But it's you're not sitting there going like, okay, well, it's going to be Rocco or Bricks. I don't know. No, it's Rocco Spindler. So those tackle spots, you got the Orrs stuck in there. I think you're going to see more than one guy play at tackle on both sides during the course of the game, because I do think they kind of got to figure this out a little.
Well, let's go into Spindler real quick, because you're talking about a guy that started at Notre Dame last year, got all the way to the national championship game, even though he hasn't been a fabric of the program over the last several years. How much can that leadership of coming from a program like Notre Dame, winning, I mean, just to be vocal right away, and the fact that he was at Tyler Childers with Dominic Raiola says there's some chemistry there between the quarterback and the offensive line.
Yeah, and I love to see that. And I think you got a guy who's a pretty like, if you know his dad, and like I said, I don't know his dad personally other than playing against him. His dad was the kind of guy who put himself out there. He was like, you go back to the 90s. He was like a Peter brother. He was like a Wistrom. He was one of those guys who was like, all right, we're leading from the front here kind of mentality. And so that's what you've seen from Spindler thus far, has been that. And so it's nice to see that, especially on the O-line, because, and here's the thing, and I say this with a lot of hope, the last time I saw a guy like that on Nebraska's offensive line, that was Cam Jurgens. He was hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to mess some people up. And he did. And Spindler's the first guy I've seen that seems to have that kind of mentality since Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, I mean, does this offense all fall on the offensive line? I know there's some unproven commodities. You mentioned a wide receiver, but this all comes down to the offensive line, right? Because
I think it does, because we know what we're getting with Raiola. I mean,
you know what you're getting in running back.
Running back worries me a little bit.
Really? Explain why.
Okay, just because I don't think there's a ton of depth there. I mean, you got Emmett Johnson, you got Mekhi Nelson, Isaiah Mosey, and Quentin Ives. I mean, once you get past Johnson, Quentin Ives is like the one guy you look at and go like, well, he's really the only true running back. I mean, you're moving wide receivers in to basically be the second string.
So are you looking at Johnson to be a 20 to 25 carry a game guy?
I would like to see him be about a 20 carry a game guy. My worry is if you start putting more of the load on him than that, you start picking up those niggling injuries. And he's not one of these 215, 220 pound old school Big 8 running backs. He's not like an Amon Green or a Damon Benning or a Clinton Childs or a Lawrence Phillips type of guy. He's not, or Ken Clark. He's not one of these old school guys that you're going to give the ball to 30 times a game. And then the next week, they're going to get it 25 or 30 carries again. And then the next week, they're going to get 25 carries again and again and again. That's not, Emmett Johnson's not that kind of running back.
But is this offense made for that? Meaning, do you think it's 50-50? Do you think it's 60-40 pass? What do you think it's going to be?
Oh, I think it's going to be 60-40 to 70-30 in favor of the pass. And now the thing is though, I do look at, on the flip side, when you look at the running back and you look at guys like Nelson and Mosey, you're looking at guys who are like, guess what? On this play, you're a wide receiver. You're lining up at running back, but you got to be ready to catch that ball in the flat and take off and go. You're going to be an outlet guy here. So,
which is essentially a run.
To a fair extent, yeah. In a modern offense, I think it very much is. So I don't think they're going to look at Emmett Johnson and go, okay, you're a guy who's going to get 25, 30 carries a game. I think he's a guy that if he gets 15 to 20 and then gets another 5 or 10 touches via pass, I think that's kind of the combination you want to see. Get the ball to him 15 times with carries, 5 or 10 times via pass, and there's your 25 touches. And if that's the case, I think they're going to have a good combination in terms of how they're getting the ball to him. I don't know if I want to see him be a classic line up and get 20 or 25 handoffs a game, because I think if you do, you're going to take your best running back on the team and you're going to injure the guy.
So let's move on to the defense. The defense of Nebraska, one of only 4 teams that ranked in the top 20 nationally last year in total defense, scoring defense, in both 23 and 24. So they're going to be tested as far as run defense.
3 categories.
But they're going to be tested in the passing game for sure.
Yeah, although this is probably the most experience they've had you look at their defensive backfield. You look at Singleton, you look at Marshall and Jones at the one corner, you look at Marquez Buford, Caleb Benning, redshirt freshman, got a little playing time last year. I've watched him up close at Westside. I think he's going to be really, really good. Guys, he is by far and away more than a good enough athlete to play the position. Crazy smart. Kid knows the game. You look at Hartzog at nickel, you look at Sayer right. You've got a lot of guys who've got a lot of snaps in that defensive backfield. And I'm not saying this is an NFL defensive backfield, but it's really a good amount of experience there. So I think they're going to be okay. The other thing that I think really helps them is you go look at that linebacker core. You look at the linebackers, that jack position. You've got a lot of experience there. And you've got some good players. Look at Jack. They got Willis McGahee third. And he's a guy that had a ton of playing time last year, had a lot of big plays. look at, or you got Vincent Shavers Jr. Played a lot last year, high expectations for this guy. And he's sitting behind a transfer with Marquez Watson Trent, who I think is a really, really good player. Okay, I got to be careful when I say this because we've had some really good defensive guys over the last several years at that jack position. But I think he could be a really, really good player. One of these guys who kind of can go everywhere from being an edge guy, playing, covering a tight end, covering a wide receiver, coming up as a linebacker and run stop. I mean, that's basically what this jack position is. It's sort of we need a Terrell Farley guy who can kind of do it all. And I'm not saying that Watson Trent is going to be another Terrell Farley. I'm kind of jumping.
That's pretty high. That's high caliber right there.
That's a little high caliber to say he's that. But I think he's going to be a guy who can make people go like, oh, wow. Like there's a wow factor to him, I think, at that position. And the fact that he's pushed Willis McGahee down that chart, or he's put, Vincent Shavers down on the depth chart, I think really says something. Javen Wright at the other linebacker. Big thing with him is if he stays healthy, he's going to be an all-star. You got a guy that it's been health issues for him. Insanely nice guy. I played with his dad in college. I played against his dad in the NFL.
You're old.
I am. I still trade messages with Toby. Great family. Javen's a guy that if he stays healthy, he's going to do a lot of damage. Deshaun Singleton. I mean, again, you've got some of these guys. There's a lot of really good guys in that defensive backfield, in that linebacker jack core of players that I think are going to be able to do some damage. I probably worry about those areas far less than I worry about the D-line, just because you got question marks there on the D-line.
Go through those.
And I shouldn't say question marks. It's you don't have a Ty Robinson. You don't have a Nash Hutmacher. And the other thing is you
guys who just beat the shit out of people.
They were big and they were athletic and they could move and they caused damage. They were hard to block. You weren't going to knock those guys back off the ball. The other big question mark on the D-line for me is you don't have Terrence Knighton coaching them. And I think that's a massive loss. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to put that one into words much, just because I think he's a special coach. And losing White and him to Florida State, that's a question mark. There's going to have to be. I mean, when you look at Butler, when you look at Phil, you look at these guys that have taken over that defense. That's a question mark. I think these guys have something to prove from the coaching perspective. You got a new D-line coach. And everybody's like, oh, he came from Kansas City Chiefs. We got the Kansas City Chiefs D-line coach. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I spent some time on a couple of different NFL teams, and I still talk to a lot of NFL guys. He was the assistant D-line coach. And
meaning you're not impressed.
Until I see the product on the field, I'm not impressed yet. Doesn't mean he's not going to be a great coach. Doesn't mean he's not already a great coach. It's just, man, it's hard to tell like what his impact was on the Chiefs, because Chiefs had a pretty freaking good D-line the last decade. I think he was there for the last 8 years. My question is like, okay, well, is it him? Is it the head D-line coach? Is it a combination of the two guys worked really well together? What was it that made the Chiefs D-line great? Well, we're going to find out, both watching the Chiefs and watching the Huskers this year.
So this defense is going to be challenged by Cincinnati, and it's a big year for Cincinnati. Scott Satterfield in year number 3 needs to win, and because he's got a losing record, and they expect big things in Cincinnati, especially after what Luke Fickell was able to accomplish there. But they've got a really good quarterback in Brendan Soresby, who was 249 of 389 last year, to over 20 2,800 yards passing, 18 touchdowns. He also has some mobility to him. He ran for 447 yards.
Over 5 yards per carry. He was second leading rusher on the team, if I'm not mistaken. Which, I mean, that's the thing that makes it tough for Nebraska's defense. The guy's a true dual threat guy. He can run. I mean, I think Raiola can run, but everybody and their dog knows Raiola does not want to take off and run with the ball. He wants to hand it off. He wants to throw it. He doesn't want to be the guy that takes off and, oh, yeah, I'm going to get yards with my feet. That's not him. That is Soresby, though. You put pressure on him, get him out of the pocket, he's going. He's not afraid to take off and go, and that kind of worries me a little bit about him.
Do you think we have an offensive shootout, or do you think this is I mean, if you were to look at this game, do you think it's like a 35-24 game? How do you look at this? Because Cincinnati can score.
The over-unders, last I checked, was like 53.
Okay.
Ballpark. I think Nebraska's by 6.5. But, I mean, the over-under is 53. So, I mean, you say 35-24, I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of right there around the over-under. So, okay, let me put it this way. If Nebraska walks out of Kansas City with a 35-24 win, I'm not sure I don't think I'm disappointed. I think I'm sitting there going like, hey, we got a 2-score win right there. Dude, I'm taking that.
I'll take any win.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter who you support. A win is a win. I mean, if you're Iowa State, who beat Kansas State yesterday, you're walking out of Dublin, Ireland going, it's a win. Well,
in games like that, I mean, Nebraska obviously found out how, like, dude, you're flying overseas. You got jet lag. You're in a completely different place. You are out of your element. There's a little bit of that with this game, and I understand the crowd's going to be partisan Nebraska. I mean, it's
a home game for Cincinnati, but it is going to be very partisan Nebraska.
Yeah, I know. Okay, it's home game only in terms of jersey color. It's a home game for
which
Nebraska.
Is scarlet.
But it's killing me. But
the pants will be.
The kicker is again, you're driving 2.5 hours south. It's not Memorial Stadium. It's not your locker room. There's a little bit of a different vibe here, and sometimes that helps you. Sometimes that's fun. I mean, I loved going on road trips. I mean, there's sometimes you get that we're going to get out of the ordinary here, and you go play like the ESPN Thursday night games. We freaking loved those. Went down to Texas Tech. We're like,
I remember that. It was your senior year.
Yeah. It was like, let's do this. This is freaking great. They're chucking tortillas at us out of the stands. Is it Raider, the horse with
guns
the
up?
Yeah. So the horse had like smashed into a wall in a tunnel the week before and died. It was just a weird environment down there with all of these different factors, and we loved it and we stomped them. And it was great. So sometimes you get into that, okay, we're going to take you out of your elements. Wrong day, wrong time, wrong place, but you're going to embrace it and you kick the crap out of somebody. I always worry about it, though.
So hold on to that thought, because we're going to dive into the Thursday night game and opening on a neutral site. But first, don't forget, if you want to support the Doc Talk podcast, purchase some Gdefy shoes. That's GDEFY. Go to gdefy.com. Enter the promo code DocTalk50 and get yourself a nice little discount on some of the most comfortable shoes that you're ever going to wear. The Verso Shock technology eases up the pain on the ankles, on the knees, and you're just going to walk a lot better and feel a lot better in your Gdefy shoes. If you're heading to Kansas City, you're going to be decked out in the latest Nebraska gear, and the best place to get that is Husker Hounds. It is the premier place to buy Husker gear, whether that's a polo shirt, a t-shirt, a hoodie, because, Owen's giving me a hard time today because I'm wearing a hoodie. He goes, Dad, it's not hoodie weather yet. Well, when I let the dog out this morning, it was hoodie weather. When I got here, it wasn't quite hoodie weather, but, we're getting close. And as fall comes along, you're going to be wanting to wear a hoodie hoodie to a game, or a polo shirt, or a windbreaker, or a quarter zip. You can get any almost house decoration that you want. It's Husker Hounds, the 2 locations in the Omaha area, of course, online at huskerhounds.com. But visit the Superstore over there on 84th and Center in Omaha. That's Husker Hounds. And, of course, Orr Law Group. Connor Orr has been a long supporter of the podcast. And at some point in your life, you're going to need a lawyer, whether that's for litigation, estate planning, you name it. He's got a brand new office. I think Ross, you're not Ross. Ross is my other broadcast partner, is going to, we're going to visit Connor, I think, on Thursday as he's kicking off the Husker season with a little tailgate. So we're going to go over there and invade his new office and check it out. We're going to eat his food. We're going to drink his alcohol. You'll probably have a beer. I'll have vodka, and we'll invade Connor Orr. So for more information, go to orlawgrp.com. That's orlawgrp.com. You mentioned the Thursday night game. You like road games, and you've talked about it before about how a road game builds camaraderie, kind of brings you together. The difference is, I think when you played Texas Tech, you guys had a couple games under your belt back in '94. Now,
both road games as well.
Yeah, and I think was it the year before? That's the one where Mike Minter got hurt against West Virginia.
No, that was the West Virginia year. So '94, we played out at West Virginia.
Okay, what was I thinking? Kickoff class.
And then, so that was the kickoff class.
Okay,
was against West Virginia. So that was road game for both. That was in New York. That was Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I remember that.
Second game of the year, and that was when Minter got hurt. Was that Thursday night?
Okay.
Texas Tech game, and then our first home game was against UCLA and Lincoln.
So you don't mind kicking the season off on the road on a Thursday night?
It was, it's a little bit okay. So it depends. When we're talking about mid-90s Nebraska, yeah, not so much. I mean, our mentality was we'll go anywhere and kick your ass,
because
whether it's home or away.
You were a proven commodity at that point. You knew what was going to...
The problem here, this is not a proven commodity. Now, there's a lot of this, when we went down that depth chart just now, there's a lot of this that there's reasons to be excited about, and there's stuff to really, really like here. But again, you got a team that needed a bowl game win to pick up that 7th win last year. How proven is that?
It's not proven at all.
And that's the thing. When you're one play, when you literally annihilate Iowa on the field and you're one play away from winning and you lose the game, and it was one play. That's not a proven commodity.
That's mental breakdown.
When you're 1 or 2 plays away from beating Illinois, that's not a proven commodity. When you're a couple of plays from beating UCLA, that's not a proven commodity. It's just that's the kicker with this, and that's why I saw this and they scheduled it, and it's at Arrowhead, and I'm like, God, I'd really like for this game to be in Lincoln, just so it's a little bit more of less variables in there. And
not much familiarity. This is the first matchup between Nebraska and Cincinnati since 1906. 1906. It's a long time ago.
It is.
So there's nothing really there to draw any comparisons with.
No, not at all.
I mean, you look at it on paper and you do the analytics and like you said, Nebraska is a 6.5-point favorite. Should be. This is also a big year. We mentioned Scott Satterfield in year number 3 being a big year for him in Cincinnati. It's a high expectation year for Matt Rhule. Matt Rhule has not faced much criticism since he took over for Scott Frost. He's done all the right things. He's personable. He knows how to relate to fans. He knows how to speak publicly. He's one of the best orators that you'll ever find. He comes off as genuine.
Well, he's also out there.
Yes.
I mean, he goes to events. He goes to other sporting events. He shows up at concerts.
Restaurants. I mean,
we went to I think I've mentioned it before. We went to, I think it was the Penn State Nebraska wrestling duel in Lincoln. Well, there's Clinton Childs and Matt Rhule sitting together up in the stands. And it's, I mean, he's just sitting there. There's no other athletic department staff around him. they're just sitting there hanging out, watching wrestling, and nobody's bugging the guy.
And what that makes him is likable, personable, all that. But when you're the head,
you do get a longer leash for that. You just do.
100%. But he has high expectations that he's set for himself based on his track record in year 3 with the program. And every other college program that he's directed, they've gone to double-digit wins. He did it at Temple in year 3, went 10-4. While at Baylor, finished 11-3 in his 3rd season at Baylor. Here's his 3rd season at Nebraska.
So here's a question.
Okay.
Let's say he doesn't get to that. Let's say this is a 7, 8, 9 win. I think 9 wins, people are going to be like, okay, we're good with that.
Well,
but if he only gets 7 or 8, God forbid he gets less than that, but let's say he only gets 7 or 8 wins, do people start getting a little antsy?
I think 7 wins, yes. I think you're going to see a lot more criticism coming in with 7 wins. 8 wins, it depends on how you lose some of those games and how you stack up. I think 9 wins, people are perfectly okay with that. 10 wins would be ecstatic because you'd be 10-2 at that point. I think 7 wins would be a failure. I do. I think that would start to raise eyebrows going, huh?
Because I look at last year, and I think the schedule's a little tougher.
Last year or this year?
This year.
Really?
Well,
I mean, you get Michigan at home, you get Michigan State at home.
I mean, you look at what Indiana did last year. You look at having Ohio State on the schedule, but I also look at the fact that last year, God, they totally should have beat Illinois. They completely should have beat Iowa. There's 9 wins right there.
True.
They were in position to beat UCLA, and I thought if there's a game where you look at it and you go like where it's we talked about this before, where it's 10 minutes after the game's over, you're like, damn it, we should have won that game. I'm disappointed.
Well,
we should have won that.
You could have done that to the entire Scott Frost era.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of truth there. Let's bury that if we can.
I'm just bringing it up. No, you could have done that.
I'm just saying in relation to Rhule.
Yes.
In terms of what you look at is, was this a disappointment or not? I think last year was a little bit of a disappointment.
That's fair. That's a fair criticism.
That should have been at least a 9-win season with the schedule they had last year.
Meaning that if they don't get there this year, that's a disappointment. It would be a failure if you don't get there.
The problem is that I think there's been some losses on this team in terms of coaching staff and players that leave us with some pretty big question marks. And I'm talking about the D-line and the defense as a whole.
Now, if you go back to last week's podcast, you'll know that Rob picked them to be 9-3. I picked them to be 10-2. So we have them in that we both prognosticated that they would, meet or exceed those expectations. I've got them with the double-digit wins.
And when I said 9 wins, I could see 8 real easily. There was all right, I'm going to go optimistic here on this and hope they pull out the USC game, for instance. I think that was the big question mark one in my mind that I'm looking at and going like, okay, where's a game here that I think they can win, but the more I think about it, the more I worry about it, is that USC game. But I think 8 or 9 wins is, I think that's where they're at. I think that's just how this team is built right now, until we see how that defensive coaching staff gels, how this offensive line gels, and having Holgorsen full time, what kind of difference is that going to make? We just haven't seen it yet.
And that's why this first game, believe it or not, is kind of important for the measurable, because we're not going to get a good read playing Akron and Houston Christian. You're not going to really see any leveled up competition until September 20th when they play Michigan. So this first game is kind of that that measuring stick, should we say?
100%. And I, when you had made you made that comment earlier, like, hey, would I be happy if we saw like a 35-24 game, or is that the kind of game I expect? It actually kind of is. I mean, I expect to see some slop. It's that first game. You're out of sorts. You're breaking in some new players. You got a couple of key wide receivers that are both transfer guys, again, in Key and Hunter. And so those are the kinds of things that make me look at a game like this and go, I'm expecting to see some guys out of position. I'm expecting to see Raiola throw the ball one area and the wide receiver going to another area, which means it's either an incompletion or it's an interception. You're going to see some stuff like that. You just are.
It's game one.
It is. In game one, again, with these new faces. And so I can handle a little of that kind of slop. And if the defense gives up a couple of touchdowns because of mistakes on the offense or special teams, putting them in a bad position, I can live with that as long as they win and come out of this and go, okay, here's some stuff that we can fix, which again, that's something that we had a huge luxury with when I played, is the fact that we could go out there and make some mistakes and go, okay, we got to shore this stuff up. I mean, again, you go back to that 94 season, you mentioned it, the kickoff classic against West Virginia, 5 turnovers. We gave up the ball 5 times in that game.
And still won.
We won 31-0. I mean, that should have been like a 63-0 blowout.
How pissed was Coach Osborne after that? Even though you won 31-0.
I don't want to say pissed, but I mean, that was definitely hey guys, we got stuff we got to fix here. And I remember, I can't remember what game it was, but I think it was actually that UCLA game. I remember we had the win over West Virginia. We had the win over Texas Tech, both on the road, both against those are solid teams. I mean, that is not Akron or Houston Christian.
True. Those
were good teams on the road. And I remember as the old line, we got a little flippant. We were talking a little bit. And I'm talking about it like in meetings and practice going into that UCLA game. And I remember Tenneper kind of lost it. And it was one of the few times I saw him collectively get mad at us collectively as a unit. And this is a senior-led unit. I mean, that was a starting offensive line that had 4 fifth-year seniors and a 4th-year junior. 3 of them were first-team All-Americans.
Wow.
And he's snapping at us, and he's basically like yelling like, you assholes need to get your shit together. And I remember like, a little taken aback by this. And I kind of did the whole like, I'm one of the team captains. I should probably go talk to coach and find out why he's pissed at us. Because at the time I wasn't really thinking, why the hell's he yelling at us? We've put up insane numbers of yardage on the ground. We're kicking the crap out of some pretty good teams. And I go to him and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he was like, hey, I'm sorry I snapped, but I kind of feel like this is a key season. We kicked the crap out of 2 teams, and now everybody's like, oh, yeah, we've got it in the bag. He goes, we got another, at that point, we got another 10 games to play. He goes, we need to focus. He goes, this is one of these things where we're going to need to really focus here, because the teams only get better and better as we go. And I remember going back to the old line and like, hey, all right, everybody huddle up. We gotta hit the reset button here and refocus. We had that luxury. We could go out, lose a little bit of focus. We could turn the ball over 5 times and still win 31-0. This Nebraska team doesn't have that luxury yet. And so because I say that, I'm also going to say I find it acceptable for them to have a little slop, make some mistakes, turn the ball over, if they can still pull out a win. Like if I'm Iowa State, I'm freaking ecstatic. You went over to another country, you went to another continent. You got that out of sorts aspect added to it. You had a sloppy game. The other team was a little sloppy, and you managed to pull out a win. And it's a bit of a rivalry game for those two schools as well.
A bit. I mean, it's the longest continual rivalry in like college football. They've been playing every year since like 1907 or something like that. Farmageddon is what they call it.
Yeah. So it's one of those. If I'm Iowa State, I'm ecstatic. So if I'm Nebraska and Nebraska comes out of Kansas City with two things, A, a win, and B, the ability to look at that game tape afterwards and go, okay, there's some fixable stuff here that we got to clean up. I'm perfectly fine with that. If we get those two things, I'm good with it. I'm good with it. I'm happy. It doesn't have to be a 35-10 win. Now, I'll definitely take that. But if it's like a 35-31 win, if this is a 35-24 win, if this is a 31-24 win, whatever, I'm happy with the win and stuff to fix.
Do you now? Obviously, you want both, but if you want to see one unit perform better than the other, do you want to see the offense on all cylinders, or do you want to see the defense on all cylinders? And I know the right answer is both, but when you see a quarterback like Soresby and an offense that Cincinnati has,
I think I'd rather see the defense on all cylinders. And the reason is because it almost always seems like it takes longer for the offense to get that timing down, to get that comfort level with each other down. Again, couple of transfer wide receivers here. You've got a good running back, but not a ton of talented depth at running back. So I grant more time to the offense historically to get their shit together.
Is there something is it true, or is it just a wives' tale? Because you hear every coach in America say that there's the greatest progress on a team is from game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, it's the first couple of games.
Okay.
You'll see there's a lot of cleanup you don't see, but there's a lot of fine tuning that happens from 2 to 3. But yeah, it's the really visible stuff you see is that once you get that first game under your belt, because all of a sudden you've been practicing against each other going back to the bowl game. And so now this is the first time since the bowl game, you got somebody with a different jersey. And it doesn't matter how good you're going against ones or ones against scout team in practice, until you get somebody in a different jersey, it's just different. So I do expect to see that big jump after game 1. But again, that's also why if you can go out and get any win, even if it's a sloppy win, I'm pretty damn happy.
You know, this game starts at 8:00. That's pretty late. I know a lot of people going down to Kansas City for this game.
Which I am like, that seems like it should, well.
I'm like, why is it at 7?
Yeah, I suppose a lot of it's, okay, you know what? I guarantee you somebody was sitting around going, okay, it's about 2 to 3 hours for the bulk of Nebraska fans to get here. That's Lincoln and Omaha. We got to I guarantee you they're sitting there going, we got to give all those people time to get here after work on Thursday.
Now, we're a glutton for punishment because right after the game, Rob and I are going to go live on our YouTube channel. Another reason to subscribe to this channel is because we're going to go live on our YouTube channel, and we're going to do an immediate post-game reaction. We'll be taking your phone calls.
I was just going to ask, are we doing calls?
Yeah, we're going to do calls.
Right.
We're going to do comments. We'll have a lot of fun with it. Go for maybe an hour. If it keeps going, maybe we can go longer than that. But we're going to have to work out next week's podcast because you're going to Augustana on
that'll be on Saturday. So
and I'm leaving Sunday to take my daughter to college, so we may have to record like Sunday evening. I'll be in Mississippi at that time, seeing my granddaughter, but we may have to
do a little Zoom action.
A little Zoom action, and we can do it that way. Speaking of Augustana, you're wearing your Augustana football shirt on today. Who do they kick off the season next week?
They got Western Missouri, which for Nebraska.
That's in St. Joe, right? Missouri Western?
I don't think it's Missouri Western. It's Western Missouri.
Is it? I don't know. That's where the Chiefs' old training camp used to be.
No, Well, no, Maryville is Northwest Missouri State.
Yeah.
So it's an MIAA school. So you got like Pitt State, Northwest Missouri State.
Good conference.
Nebraska Kearney. So it's all those. It's the D2 MIAA schools. It'll be interesting. Augustana's coming off of 2 straight conference titles. I think they've gone to the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 years. They've won the conference title 3 out of the last 4 years. So they're kind of on a little bit of a run here. I say a little bit of a run. They're on a really nice run. Then that Northern Sun conference they're in, which I've said this a bunch, it's a lot of the old North Central conference that UNO used to play football in. And so it's a lot of schools familiar that Nebraska fans, UNO fans are familiar with. I mean, it's Bemidji and Mankato and St. Cloud and Wayne State. So it's a lot of those schools. But there's more than a dozen schools in the conference. And so most years, your entire 11-game schedule is conference only. So this is kind of I think this is the 3rd year in a row. This is a total rarity. 3rd year in a row, they get a non-conference opponent.
Oh, wow.
Which makes it kind of fun. So, and they get them at home. So it's going to be an MIA school up in Sioux Falls. I think Western Missouri went like 4-7 last year. But it's kind of weird. I was talking to some of the Augustana coaching staff, and they said that it's one of these teams that tends to play to the level of their competition, that they will go, that they play really, really well against really good teams. And I think 3 of those 4 wins were against playoff teams. So you win 4 games, been 3 of the 4 against playoff teams. You're one of those teams that's just kind of trying to find its chemistry.
Well, speaking of playing playoff teams and playing a lot of conference games, a week ago, the Big Ten floated an idea of 24 to 28 playoff teams. And then
all of a sudden you mentioned that, and all of a sudden stuff came into focus.
Yes.
A little bit.
And I think what we have here is a game of chess between the SEC and the Big Ten, because they hold all the cards when it comes to expansion, all this stuff. SEC counters the move by announcing next year that it's going to go to 9 conference games. And, I was watching Reese Davis yesterday. Guy knows a lot about college football. He's totally against 24 to 28 teams. It's absolutely ridiculous, oversaturated. I disagree with that. But I think what the SEC did here is, okay, we're going to counter that move. We're going to play our 9 conference games. But the counter here is the Big Ten saying, see what you just did there? You're making a bigger argument for automatic qualifiers. I think it all comes down to the automatic qualifiers.
Yeah, and I agree. Now, and when you say that, what you're referencing is it's making the Big Ten's argument of give us
so many teams,
give us X amount, you get X amount.
Yes.
And I think the Big Ten and the SEC it's going to be equal in terms of those numbers of automatic qualifiers. And you made an interesting comment. You said it's a chess match between the Big Ten and the SEC. Thank God Nebraska's in the Big Ten. I'm just saying from a dollars and cents standpoint, for a program like Nebraska that we've had this run of just, I'm going to call it dismal mediocrity for the last however many years.
Almost 25.
Thank God we're in the Big Ten. I mean, I appreciate the Big 12 has done, in my opinion, a masterful job
of navigating the waters.
Of navigating the waters, especially when they're is it Sisyphus or whatever, the guy pushing the boulder up the hill only to have it roll back down, whatever. They're rolling that boulder uphill the whole way, and they've done an amazing job of staying on that hill.
And staying relevant.
And that being said, between the ACC, the Big 12, thank God we're in the Big Ten. Because, it's one of those, if you want to be in it, like when you said that, when you're like a chess match between the Big Ten and the SEC, if you're a school in one of those 2 conferences, man, you've got control over everything.
What I like about what the SEC did is they're going to a 9-game conference schedule. You will play every team every 2 years and it'll be a home and home within every 4 years. So they're not doing a division, which I'm fine with that. And they
which is where the direction the Big Ten went.
And then you have a mandate that of one of your non-conference games, you have to schedule a team from the Big Ten, the ACC, or the Big 12.
It's got to be a Power 4
It's got to be a power, and they want it to be a higher caliber. Well, you're going to have to. That's with as many teams they have, you may not be able to get a high caliber. But if you grab a team from that league, that counts to me. And I like that mandate saying, well, you just don't get to play 3 cupcakes. You're going to have to go schedule a Power 4 team.
So, and here's the question. So that leaves you. I assume you're going to probably still play a 12-game regular season schedule.
But, if the Big Ten gets its way and says, well, we want 24 to 2018 playoff, you're going to get rid of the conference championship games, and you're going to go right into the playoffs.
Here's my question about the SEC, though. Do they dump that FCS opponent?
If I'm an SEC team, I would. I just would, because if you want to do strength of schedule, because what this could do now is if you went to the automatic qualifiers or whatever this looks like, you're going to, with the 9-game conference schedule, you're probably going to have a lot more SEC teams with 3 losses, right? I mean,
But if you get those automatic qualifiers, all of a sudden a 9-3 with an expanded playoff, 9-3 gets you in.
Absolutely.
If you're an upper third of the Big Ten, upper third of the SEC, and you're 9-3, you're getting in.
True. Would you dump the FCS school?
I probably. It's interesting because I know a lot of the times I've seen so many people talk about how
go play one of those Pac-12 schools.
How this hurts you, but I've also seen how a lot of people have made the point. This is sometimes not a bad thing because you can still sit here and say, "Hey, we played an SEC schedule. Look who we played." But it still also gives you essentially, I don't want to call it a bye week, but it gives you a little bit of a breather where you can, late in the season, you can rest a bunch of the starters. I mean, and the thing for people who don't know what we're talking about, historically the SEC will schedule, and it always seems like it's before their rivalry.
Yeah, it's like late in the season. It's like how did the FCS schools get it late in the season like that?
It's usually like game number 9 they put an FCS team into all of their schedules. It's like a 7th inning stretch for the SEC. So
it's brilliant scheduling. I mean, if it was reversed, I know people hate it, but if it was reversed and you were experiencing, you would champion it all the way. You're like, yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah, 100%. So. Yeah, my question is, do you keep that FCS game late in the year and then go with a couple of pretty solid non-conference games at the start?
Well, I mean, look at this year. You've got Ohio State, Texas kicking off the season this weekend.
That's a hell of a start for those 2 teams. So.
Yeah, so it'll be. I just like the chess move, the politics that takes place within college football. It's interesting. I do believe it's a game between the two. There will be some reconciliation and some agreement, but it does not expand to 16 until the Big Ten and the SEC are on the same page because they hold all the cards.
I do think, though, that this pushes it in that direction sooner than later.
I would agree.
I mean, I'm not saying in 26, but maybe 27, 28, I could see a 16-team playoff. They made the 12-team playoff work way quicker than I thought they would. I thought this was going to be hey, we're going to go to 12 teams 8 years from now. And it wasn't. It was, hey, we're going to go to 12 teams.
Yeah, the only
2 years.
And the only reason they screwed it up is because they seeded it wrong.
It was the seeding.
Yeah, and I think everybody recognized that. That's been fixed.
Yeah.
And now we have straight seeding.
They're going to go to, I think they go to 16. They now have a model of how to do it. The only thing I would change, if I could, if they go to 16, you don't need the buys.
No.
I would go to 2 straight home games. Higher seeded team for the first 2 games gets the home game instead of the bowl game site.
I like playoff games being played on the home fields. I think that's totally awesome.
Dude, Penn State hosting that. I mean,
Ohio State hosting Tennessee. The
environment in those stadiums, playoff game.
Picture Lincoln hosting a playoff game.
Oh my God. Be so awesome.
I mean, it'd be cold too. Middle of December.
That'd be great.
Old time football. All right, you got to mentally prepare me. You're an empty nester now. Piper took off for Lehigh. She's all settled in Pennsylvania.
So we're well, it hasn't really hit yet because I've been batching it all week. So, yeah, my wife doesn't get back until tonight.
So you're then it's like I told Ann Jeanette we're going to have to learn how to cohabitate together once again. I go, we haven't lived by ourselves for 29 years. This will be interesting.
Yeah, this will be for us 24.
Wow. Get to know each other once again.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'm taking my daughter's moving to Savannah, Georgia.
And are you guys driving?
Yeah, because now with the granddaughter, I get to...
you guys got a pit stop.
Yeah, we're not going the fast way to Savannah. We're going the long way to Savannah, but we're going to stop in Mississippi, visit Sutton for a day, take Greta to Savannah, stay a couple days, come back the long way just to see the granddaughter again, and then...
Now, are you guys... Are you guys like doing a U-Haul?
No, you know what we're going to do? We're going to load up one of our cars, and if we need anything, just buy it down there.
Okay, so my wife's like a master at this kind of stuff.
I don't know, man. I looked at the picture that Piper went to. How much did that luggage bill on the airline cost you?
So we worked a deal where they actually found, and actually one of their flights got canceled.
Oh.
Weather going through Chicago. So they rebooked it, got a last minute, one of those like they were trying to unload first class seats. So they got first class seats. So pretty much all the baggage was free.
Oh, you got lucky.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was something like had a total of like $110 of baggage fees, which is like nothing for what they took. I think they checked 5 bags.
And they were big bags.
Yeah.
They were big bags.
It was like the big duffels.
Yeah.
But the other thing is here's the other thing that happened. You go first class, that weight, this is weird to me because everybody's like...
They waived the weight limit?
They're like, we put a weight limit on it because it's a safety thing for the airline workers, for the baggage handlers. The weight limit, if it's a first class seat, so we get this steal on first class seats, the weight limit goes from 50 to 70 pounds. So I'm like, wait a second, does like airline worker safety just go out the window because we paid more?
Yes.
I'm just sitting there like, well, there's modern society in a nutshell, right? Not to sound like a freaking socialist, but I just went woke.
Yes,
but,
Rob, anyway, you socialist, you Marxist, you.
So, well, no, but they did the whole where like a lot of the stuff they got was they ordered it on Amazon, picked it up there. My wife went to, I got to look up the guy's name. It's this amazing Italian name, but it's the local True Value Ace Hardware. It's like Calmitti's Ace Hardware.
Calmitti's. That just sounds like a hardware store. In
Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So they went, I'll fix that for anybody from the area here. I'll put that out there who it was actually. But so they went to the hardware store. She went and picked up a whole bunch of stuff. Here, I got it right here. Cantelmi's Ace Hardware.
There you go.
Yeah. By the way, and I think the guy's name is Frank. Here's a picture of Frank.
They don't have a Baumgars in Bethlehem? They need a Baumgars or a Tractor Supply.
I think, well, they might. I doubt the Baumgars seems way more of like a Midwest, Upper Great Plains.
100%. But you can't go wrong with a good Baumgars.
It's like Wahoo to Sioux Falls is Baumgars. You know what they need? What's the big store right outside West Des Moines?
Fleet Farm.
Fleet Farm. You need a Fleet Farm.
I heard Omaha's going to get a Fleet Farm. I don't know when that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it's like if Cabela's
and Tractor Supply had a baby.
It's like Cabela's, Tractor Supply,
Baumgars,
and like Super Walmart had a baby.
Yeah.
And then like put it on growth hormone.
All right, kickoff Thursday night, 8 o'clock, right after the game. Dr. Rob and myself going to go live on our YouTube channel. That's a reason to subscribe right now. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to be live, taking your phone calls, taking your comments, talking about Nebraska's game against Cincinnati. Also, if you need some Big Red gear, go to Husker Hounds. If you need some law advice, go to the Or Law group at orlawgrp.com. Dr. Rob, thanks so much for your time. He was on call, never got called in. That's good.
I had my G-Defies on, so I could have ran to work.
That's right, and you're fairly close. Will this be the last podcast we do here?
I don't know. I owe Owen
He just flipped me off.
I owe producer Owen some meats, though, for redoing the studio.
All right, we'll be back next week, of course, live on Thursday, and we'll drop another one probably Sunday evening, but that'll be a different kind of deal because we'll be doing it kind of a Zoom style just because I'm going to be out of town. Enjoy your week, everybody. Join us Thursday night, and we'll be back with another Husker Doc Talk podcast. See you later.